If you want to run code on AWS, you have two main choices, EC2 and Lambda. But choose the wrong one and your cloud bill can explode while your app falls over during traffic spikes. This is the clean, practical breakdown of virtual servers versus serverless compute, so you can choose correctly every time. Let's start with what these services actually are. Amazon EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, is like leasing an apartment. Once you rent it, you pay for it 24/7 while it's running, whether you're actively using it or not. In return, you get full control. You choose the operating system, install whatever software you want, run background services, keep long-lived connections open, and tune performance exactly how you like. The trade-off is responsibility. You patch the OS, manage capacity, handle failures, and decide when to scale. AWS Lambda works in a completely different way. Lambda is serverless, and it's more like taking an Uber. You don't own the car, and you don't care how it's maintained. You just say where you want to go. With Lambda, you upload a small piece of code called a function, and AWS runs it only when something triggers it. That trigger might be an API request, a file upload, or a scheduled event. When the function finishes, it shuts down immediately, and you stop paying. So why would you pick one over the other? It comes down to predictability. If your workload is steady and always on, EC2 is usually the right choice. Think traditional websites, internal tools, or applications that must run constantly. You know the traffic is coming, so paying for servers that stay up all day makes sense. For these workloads, EC2 is reliable and often cheaper because you're fully utilizing what you're paying for. Lambda shines when traffic is unpredictable. Imagine a photo-sharing app where users randomly upload images at 2 in the morning, then disappear for hours. With Lambda, if nobody uploads anything, your code never runs and you pay zero for compute. If 1 million people upload photos at once, Lambda automatically scales out and runs as many copies of your function as needed without you touching a thing. Here's an exam tip that also matters in real life. EC2 charges you while the instance is running, typically by the second. Lambda charges you per request and per millisecond of execution time. If a question mentions event-driven architecture, automatic scaling with no servers to manage, or paying only when code runs, the answer is Lambda. If it mentions long-running processes, full control, or custom environments, think EC2. Now let's look at how these choices show up in real architectures. With EC2, you usually put a load balancer in front of multiple instances. Traffic comes in, the load balancer spreads it across servers, and if one instance fails, the others keep working. This setup is powerful, but you manage the fleet. You decide how many servers exist, how they scale, and how updates roll out. With Lambda, the architecture is often simpler. A user action triggers an event, like uploading a file to an S3 bucket. That single event wakes up a Lambda function. The function processes the file, stores the result somewhere else, and then shuts down. There are no idle servers waiting around and no capacity planning ahead of time. Understanding compute choices is just the first step. To keep these systems reliable, you also need to understand how AWS is physically organized around the world. Click the next video to learn the difference between AWS regions and AWS availability zones. And I'll see you there.